Hey guys, I'm going to be helping out with doing a debate highlight review as I guess you'd call it. Fernando's gonna start having me on the channel and more is what he said, so I'm Blind Flat Earther. You guys would know me from the debates that I've done on his channel within the last 6 months. Um, or at least that's probably the only way you would. Um, so yeah, let's get right into it. I'm gonna start pointing out some things that I think is important about the Democratic position right now, for people to realize. So let's get into it. All right, here's the first clip that I feel like is pretty substantial in the Democratic position that I will first point out.
Like they have, I don't say her because she has no policy. Everything that she believed 3 years ago and 4 years ago is out the window. She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat. She's gone to my philosophy. But if she...
All right, so basically, I don't particularly care about the context of that too much because what I need to, or what I wanted out of that was that basically Kamala has been walking, like the Democrats, I should say, have been walking back their positions on, or at least for Kamala, they're walking back on her positions that she once took 3 to 4 years ago, especially on things like guns. She's gonna actually deny it later in the debate that she ever said anything about guns, and it was just uh Republicans making nonsense up about her. But no, it's been that she apparently has changed her mind all of a sudden. Because last time she was so radical that she didn't even do good enough to even be remotely close enough to actually running against Trump in 2020. I think she was actually the first one out. Um, so yeah, uh, that I do feel like is a very substantial problem with the Democratic position right now because, at least for Harris, she doesn't really have a particular policy, and they haven't really said a ton of what she's going to do. She said some things about taxes. We'll see if she actually does it or not, but that's kind of the only thing I heard, especially in this debate. She didn't really say anything about it, and we kind of didn't know a ton about it either, like from before, because anything that she had said once, we tried calling it out, and then they said, nope, she doesn't think that anymore. She doesn't, or not even anymore, they deny that she ever said anything more accurately, but okay, here's the next clip that I wanted to show because, like, I want to make it very clear about this, a few things very clear about this debate. My current stance right now, as it stands, it kind of looks even, but Kamala did a lot better when it came to, um, kind of like laying out her position, making sure that her side looked as good as possible. But she didn't do a very good job responding to opposing arguments. Um, she did actually only, I think, address two of the things that Trump said during this whole debate. Um, and then I'm going to also make very clear that the moderators were not fair. The fact checking was stupid. It's for the opposing side to call stuff like that out. It's not on the moderators. It's not on whoever wants to fact check anybody. Like literally during the debate, you should be calling out just falsities. So let's show this clip here.
Issue of abortion. President Trump, you often touted that you were able to kill Roe v. Wade. Last year, you said that you were proud to be the most pro-life president in American history. Then last month, you said that your administration would be great for women and their reproductive rights. In your home state of Florida, you surprised many with regard to your 6-week abortion ban because you initially had said that it was too short. And you said, quote, I'm going to be voting that we need more than 6 weeks. But then the very next day, you reversed course and said you would vote to support the 6-week ban. Vice President Harris.
So this is what I wanted to point out. I don't think that it's okay that they just sit and ask you questions and like say, "Oh, you contradicted yourself there." Like literally, you're not trying to make your opponent, or you're not trying to make a particular side. You're not trying to like say a whole bunch of stuff about their position. You're supposed to like just give them a topic. And this is another thing I don't like this format for debating anyway, just in general. You're supposed to just announce the topic and then ask questions, but like saying, "Oh, well, you contradicted yourself here." Blah 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 blah. Here's your opposing perspective. Blah 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 blah. Like that's a little bit ridiculous. Like this actually wasn't too bad in comparison to what they did, but this is probably one of the first times I saw was a little bit garbage.
Says that women shouldn't trust you on the issue of abortion because you've changed your position so many times. Therefore, why should they trust you?
Well, the reason I'm doing that vote is because the plan is, as you know, the vote is, they have abortion in the 9th month. They even have, and you can look at the governor of West Virginia, the previous governor of West Virginia, not the current governor, who's doing an excellent job, but the governor before, he said the baby will be born and we will decide what to do with the baby. In other words, we'll execute the baby. And that's why I did that, because that predominates, because they're radical. The Democrats are radical.
So yeah, basically, Democrats are radical, um, and they want 9-month abortions. Now watch what the moderator says, um, about that. We're just gonna skip right through here.
And I give tremendous credit to those 6 justices.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born.
Hold on. One, the claim wasn't even just that it was after when it was born. It was in the 7th, 9th, or 8th and 9th month, and after it was born, which isn't even true. You're not supposed to even call that out as a moderator anyway. You're not supposed to do that. Like that was absurd. Like you can't do that. You cannot just say you're wrong as a moderator. That's ridiculous, dude. But getting back on point, like they said it was just false, and it's not. Literally, the moderators have been fact checked about that so many times. Like I'm not the only one who's saying that they're just wrong. Um, so I think it's awful funny that they still fight it and still act uh as if that it's not allowed. It doesn't fool anybody other than the people who just sit and listen and say, "Oh, nobody would ever lie to us." And I think I was going over like the whole thing about Kamala doing pretty well in this debate. There was a whole thing with the earring or the earbud or whatever, but I'll go over that a little bit later. And why I think that's actually very likely. Alright, here we go. This next clip that I'm going to show.
But this is what people wanted. Pregnant women who want to carry a pregnancy to term, suffering from a miscarriage, being denied care in an emergency room because the healthcare providers are afraid they might go to jail.
Like that's literally not what anybody's advocating for. That's actually hilarious that she even said that. Um, it's kind of ridiculous because they kind of like conflate the issue of miscarriages or medical issues or something during pregnancy, and they said, "Oh well, it's called aborting when you do that. So because abortion's not okay in certain states, we're gonna get sent to jail." Well, it's not how I define abortion. I'm pro life as you can get, so this is probably the most logically solid definition that you can come up with is the intentional killing of children, and most people would say that they'd agree with that. Um, uh, and if it's already dead, then it's not an abortion. If it's a miscarriage, it's not an abortion. If you actually, I do believe there's doctors that kind of testify like you try and do what you can for the mother. That's why I think that the medical reasonings for trying to like say abortion should be permitted in this case is just not necessarily correct because you try and do as much as you can for the mother and baby, and if the baby has to go because it's not going to live anyway, it's not necessarily killing the baby if it's already going to be dead. So it's way different because you're trying to actually save the baby versus, oh, there's probably going to be a medical blah 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 blah. Let's just kill the baby instead. Alright, so she asked the question, moderator asked a question to Trump. I don't remember what the question was. Maybe it was the one from before, actually. No, it's the one from before. Okay. This is the one I've actually had in this clip. Watch what she does.
Get a yes or no, because your running mate, J.D. Vance, has said that you would veto it if it did come to your desk.
Well, I didn't discuss it with JD. In all fairness, JD, and I don't mind.
Okay, the point is that it's not on the moderator's job to say you didn't answer the question if you didn't answer it satisfactory enough. So I do think it's hilarious that they think that this is okay. Like literally, if I was Kamala in this debate, I'd say, dude, you can't do that because it makes me look bad because and they do this too. You're bailing me out of issues. You're responding to my opponent's argument. You're saying that he's not answering the questions. You're saying that he's not correct in some of the statements he made. That's literally her job to say, like, this is what you did that was wrong. This is what you said that was wrong. It's her job to do that. So the fact that the moderators are doing that makes her look actually really bad. You could make a case, uh, that it's hard to say that Kamala won if literally the moderation was doing all the defense for her. This was really bad. Hold on.
Eighth month, ninth month, seventh month.
Come on.
Okay, would you do that?
Alright, this is really bad. Watch
Why
this.
don't you answer the question? Would you veto?
Okay, I thought this was a Tom debate where you're supposed to shut the opponent's mic off when the other one was talking. Why does she have her mic on? Why can we hear it this loud?
Roe v.
Answer
Wade,
the question.
you could
Watch
do
this.
abortions in the 7th month, the 8th month, the 9th
That's
month,
not true.
and probably after birth. Just look at the former governor of Virginia.
Well, that's not true. Watch this. Trump's gonna go off on this one, and then all of a sudden, watch this.
The governor of Virginia said we put the baby aside and then we determine what we want to do with the baby.
President Trump, thank you.
We're going to turn now to immigration and border.
Boom. Bailed her out. Look at that. Bailed her out. She didn't actually have to answer that. Like, she tried to answer during his time. But literally, they bailed her out of that issue. She was literally just about to get destroyed on the 7th, 8th, and 9 month, and even after birth, argument that Trump's providing. And, literally, they just bail her out. Like, that's another thing, like, just trying to make sure that it's very well known that this is what the moderation was doing the entire time. And I understand they have a certain amount of topics to get to, but that was just like blatantly obvious. She was just bailed out of that. She didn't have to respond to anything he said. Alright, hold on. Let's get to this clip.
Is being raised. And I'm going to actually do something really unusual, and I'm going to invite you to attend one of Donald Trump's rallies because it's a really
Watch
interesting
this.
thing to watch.
This is
You
awesome.
will see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom. And I will tell you, the one thing you will not hear him talk about is you. You will not hear him talk about your.
Wait. There's so many things. What was wrong with that statement? There's so many things that were wrong with that. I don't even know about if some of those claims were accurate. Maybe. But people leave out of exhaustion and boredom. I don't know about that. Not to mention, she, like, literally, if you go to one of her rallies, there ain't gonna be no one there.
Needs your dreams and your who act on your
Oh, and yeah, his whole thing is on people, like, literally every single time that he does a rally.
desires. And I'll tell you, I believe you deserve a president who actually puts you first, and I pledge to you that I will.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump, on that point, I want to get your response.
Well, I would like to respond.
Let me just ask
I would like to get to your response, but on the abortion issue, let's bail Kamala out.
why did you try to kill that bill, and successfully so? That would have put thousands of additional agents and officers on the border.
First, let me respond as to the
Please.
rallies. She said people start leaving. People don't go to her rallies. There's no reason to go. And the people that do go, she's bussing them in and paying them to be there and
Damn.
then showing them in a different light. So she can't talk about that. People don't leave my rallies. We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible rallies in the history of politics. That's because people want to take their country back. Our country is being lost. We're a failing nation. And it happened 3.5 years ago. And what's going on here, you're going to end up in World War III, just to go into another subject. What they have done to our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country.
We got the essence of what he said. Alright, here we go.
The people that came
I didn't
in,
realize
they're
that the
eating
clip
the
that
cats.
the
They're
next clip that I was gonna need
they're
was right
eating
here.
the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country. And it's a shame. As far as rallies are concerned, as far as the reason they go is they like what I say. They want to bring our country back. They want to make America great again. It's a very simple phrase, make America great again. She's destroying this country. And if she becomes president, this country doesn't have a chance of success. Not only success, we'll end up being Venezuela.
Thank God they didn't like kill Biden or something just to get Kamala in, dude. It'd be horrible.
Or
And I thought that that's what they're gonna try and do,
I
to
just
be
want to clarify
honest.
here. You bring up Springfield, Ohio, and ABC News did reach out to the city manager there.
Okay, this is so bad. Literally, they responded to his argument again. But let's just blow past that. Why would we listen to the city manager about it? Because if he was saying that house cats and house pets were being eaten, wouldn't he be the first one who'd want to who would want to quote fact check that? Wouldn't he be the first one to say that's didn't happen? Because realistically, if you look at it, it's not good for him. If he concedes that that is actually happening, it's not good for him. So why would I listen to the city manager?
He told us there had been no credible.
Oh yeah, no credible evidence. Let's just bypass the videos and blah 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 blah. And apparently, I heard that there was like an argument that uh it was an American, it wasn't an immigrant. It doesn't particularly matter. Uh, on that one particular video that I had heard about the cat, but still, the fact that they said no credible evidence and the fact that they brought up the city manager, literally just say there was a video. If that's the only one that's out there, that's the only one that I'm necessarily aware of as of my knowledge right now. But if that was the only video, just say it was an American and be done with it. Let's just blow past the moderator thing right now.
This is, I think, one of the reasons why in this election, I actually have the endorsement of 200 Republicans who have formally worked with President Bush, Mitt Romney, and John.
Listen, we don't care about these 300 or these 200 Republicans. If you actually look at all the different elections that were happening in 2022, the only endorsement that really mattered was Trump's. Literally, that was like the only one that I could think of that actually mattered. If you were endorsed by Trump, you were probably winning that election. It didn't matter who you were. It didn't matter how bad you were. Like, because Trump was just endorsing people to get Republicans in, especially in like state elections. If you got Trump's election or uh, if you got Trump's endorsement, it mattered. These guys, barely anybody barely anybody has heard about these guys. If you ask any teenager right now, anything about any of these Republicans she's about to name,
McCain, including the endorsement
they're gonna
of
say either
former
they don't care or they don't know. They're gonna say they don't care, they don't know. So it's funny that she says anything about Republicans that nobody cares about endorsing her. We're gonna see an example of just some of the tactics that she used during this debate, and there was like ones in the opening statement where she like um ad hommed him and then gave her argument, and she baited him into attacking the ad hom before attacking and actually missing the argument due to time limit. Well, so that was pretty smart. But here's the poisoning the well fallacy. If you don't know what it is, preemptively discrediting your opponent before they have the chance to speak. Typically, not necessarily before but just kind of discrediting them before you even like consider what they have to say. And we're gonna do it, or we're gonna see Kamala do this. This is how she opens up her thing about the border. Trump was going on and on about this, and that, crime rates in other countries, in our country, and what she responds with.
This is so rich, coming from someone who has been prosecuted for national security crimes, economic crimes, election interference, has been found liable for sexual assault, and his next big court appearance is in November at his own criminal sentencing. And let's be clear where each person stands on the issue of what is important about respect for the rule of law and respect for law enforcement. The former vice president called for defunding federal law enforcement, 45,000 agents, get this, on the day after he was arraigned on 34 felony counts. So let's talk about what is important in this race. It is important.
All right, let's cut off that witch. So yeah, that's a key thing about poisoning the well. If you can do it well, then you just look like an asshole. But she didn't actually respond to anything about the argument. This is what I didn't like. Let's just go over some of the things that she did. So she baited him. She poisoned the well. She appealed to emotion a lot. I don't really feel like I have to pull up examples. It's pretty obvious. She literally didn't even address most of his arguments, and this is the best response that I've seen this entire debate to anything that he said. She responded with a prophecy, but apparently she doesn't have to answer anything because moderator will do it for him or for her. That's another thing. Like a lot of people say that Kamala won the debate, and I'd say yeah, she did a pretty good job at making her side look pretty well, but I do have a problem saying that she won the debate when she literally didn't even logically answer any opposing argument against her. I'm going to explain the context of what Trump basically said in this part, this next little part of this. So he basically just goes on and says, "Oh well, they weaponized the justice system against me." By the way, she still didn't respond about immigration, so wish she'd do that. But anyway, he responded to her and just said, like, "Listen, um, you literally are dealing with people who are literally just sitting there and trying to get me with any charge that they have. They dismissed Biden's case about the documents, essentially found him guilty, but they didn't press charges on him. Um, and then this is what she basically has to say to all that.
Quick response here, Vice President Harris, on this notion of weaponization of the Justice Department.
Well, let's talk about extreme and understand the context in which this election in 2024 is taking place. The United States Supreme Court recently ruled that the former president would essentially be immune from any misconduct if he were to enter the White House again. Understand, this is someone who has openly said he would terminate, I'm quoting, terminate the Constitution of the United States.
So, like, more poisoning the well. It's not actually address the argument, just poison the well the whole time. I've seen debaters will do this. They'll typically do it if they, like a lot of people who take mainstream consensus on literally any issue will do this. So literally they'll do it for if they're going against so-called misinformation or so-called conspiracy theories. They'll do it for atheists. Will do it a lot to theists. So yeah, it can get pretty ridiculous in actual formal debates. Alright, here's the next spot. This is where Trump responds and he brings up J13.
Thank you.
Like a G.
Vice President Harris, in your last run for president.
This is the one that weaponized, not
Let's continue. Let's bail our girl out here.
me. She weaponized. I probably took a bullet to the head because of the things that they say about me. They talk about democracy. I'm a threat to democracy. They're the threat to democracy with a fake Russia investigation.
Yeah, they want to bail that girl out, dude. Look at that. That's so bad. That's horrible.
We do have a lot to get.
Went nowhere.
We have a lot to get to. Lindsay?
Vice President Harris, in your last run for
Wow. Don't have her address that. He almost got shot in the head. Before you say it's conservative, literally he funded the Democrats. He gave money to the Democrats. So registered Republican. Okay, I'll believe that. Um. So yeah, he literally almost took a bullet for the head. Uh. He actually articulated that argument pretty well. So watch as they just don't respond to it. It's amazing. Alright, here we go. This next point is one that the moderator brings up and says, oh, blah, 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 transfer of power, blah, blah, blah. I'm skipping through this. I'm probably only going to show a few more clips because I want to show something and kind of say what I think about the whole thing with the earring. Now I think that's actually pretty likely. But anyway, I had to point this out because it was kind of ridiculous. He says, you falsely claim that you won the election sometimes by a landslide, and then let's see what he says. Alright. I had to go refund my spot, because for some reason it kicked me out. Alright. So yeah, he says all this stuff. I already give context for this, but let's see what he says.
You have said, quote, you lost by a whisker, that you, quote, didn't quite make it, that you came up a little bit short.
I said that?
Are you now acknowledging that you lost in 2020?
No, I don't acknowledge that at all.
But
I
you
said
did
that
say
sarcastically. You know that. It was said, oh, we lost by a whisker. That was said sarcastically. Look.
Alright, he says that he said it sarcastically, and literally you can look for yourself, but I'm not gonna sit and just play this for a ton longer, because I'm not gonna sit and go through this whole hour. We're already 50 minutes in. And I'm only doing highlights. So, basically what he said was, or what he goes on to say is, it didn't sound sarcastic to me. It doesn't matter! You're not even supposed to say anything about that anyway. It doesn't matter! It was so bad, dude. Okay. Then this is the next point I want to get to. It's the whole thing about the earbud ring thing. So people have been saying, and I think this to be highly likely, if not true, that Kamala was actually wearing an earpiece during the debate. Now I feel like this is very likely because if you've seen those other things when she was poisoning the well, when I showed that, she was being very articulate. And she typically isn't very articulate, so I'm going to show a spot for this debate where she kind of fumbled and it makes her sound like an idiot.
He was a land, he owned land, he owned buildings, and he was investigated because he refused to rent.
Okay. So yeah, that's the contrast. Now I'm going to show you another clip from a completely different video. We're done with the debate. But it goes more towards the actual Bluetooth earring things. I'm not gonna sit and fight on over if they look like the actual earrings, the Bluetooth ones, or if they're not. I don't care. We don't have to go over that. I don't care if they look like it. A lot of people have been saying they are. A lot of people said, "Oh no, they look like it. But they are actually this model." Doesn't matter. But what I do think matters is how typically she articulates herself and how she articulated herself during this debate. And you'll see that it's way better. Okay. So this is this clip that I pulled from a different YouTube channel of a speech that she made about electrifying school buses. Watch this.
Here's the thing. Who doesn't love a yellow school bus, right? Can you raise your hand if you love a yellow school bus, right? Just, there's something about and most of us, many of us went to school on the yellow school bus, right? And it's part of our experience growing up. It's part of, a nostalgia and a memory of the excitement and joy of going to school, to be with your favorite teacher, to be.
Alright, let's shut her up. Okay, this is basically the point of my argument with that. If she is this articulate all the time, which actually she isn't. So, actually, never mind with that. She's not. She's not very articulate all the time. She's stupid. She has. There's literally clips of her doing actual word salads. I know a lot of people will say that particular debaters and stuff will use word salads. Like that's not the usage I'm using it. I'm talking about literal word salads. The definition of word salads, or that would still like follow from the definition. That would say, okay, this guy sounds like an idiot. Um, so my whole premise of my argument is she isn't that intelligent, and she sounded very articulate on the debate. She knew everything about this, and this subject, blah blah blah. And so you're telling me that she could articulate herself this well, then, but at any other time, earring sounds very much Bluetoothed. Uh, so I'm gonna end it here. I'm not gonna sit and watch the other 30 minutes of debate. I don't have time to do that. Uh, I gotta turn this over for editing. But yeah, that's the premise of my argument. Yeah, you could say that Trump probably lost this debate based on rhetoric. Um, Kamala didn't really answer arguments. She poisoned the well, appealed to emotion, baited him a few times. Trump didn't seem like he was overly prepared because he's seen how Kamala typically is, like Kamala was in this clip. Um, so I don't feel like there's anything that has to be said more from that. I'm out of here, guys.